All right, shalom, 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 shalom. Call Allah Yahweh, Eloheinu, Yahweh, Shem El Shai, B'Shem Kadosh. We're giving double honors to our apostle, elder apostles, pardon, great millstone, elder bishops, and of course the sincere brothers within the camps that are, of course, of the hopeful elect Manah. I give a shalom unto you. Of course, giving double honors again to the elder apostles of Great Millstone, who peace and salutation to the elect. Shemya Mafman is a Mappa. My young Gavala Cub Makana from the Great Millstone Camp, specifically playing tables by a yard in the city of Philadelphia. I am the Madi Ma'ai, coming to lesson, are we lesson? This is something in the spirit. Um, I was in today. Pretty much just was focusing on the spirit. Arya Bashim Shai. And I had a couple different scriptures, and I did like about 2 Hebrew prayers. And I just at this time just meditating on so much that's going on in the world, and it's mainly particularly with the economies, the world economies, and how everything is all integrated and it's all gonna crash, all gonna crash together. And what they're gonna end up bringing in is ushering in a completely whole new system, which is gonna be in the form of the Shabbat. All right, the Shabbat, which on the Shabbat, all right, MOTB, which you read in Revelation 13, and what's that? Starting at around 16. They're gonna cause both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond to receive a actual ma'ark in their right hand or in their foreheads. All right, and that's in a form of a sharat. All right, that's gonna be the actual answer to the failure of this monetary system, which they set and doomed it to fail to begin with. Having it backed up by, gold and silver, but just having it, of course, as a petrodollar. Economies, countries selling their oil or selling their well, they have to actually translate their actual currency into U.S. dollars, and such. And it's all doomed to fail. Okay. I think one of the main points in which I think this is going to speak on is how really Babylon the Great America, um, they're pretty much just buying all the different goods from China because nothing's really produced here. And then China's just, of course, exporting the goods back over here. But China does own a percentage of the debt, here in here, and they actually are projected to, basically to be the, take over, but really the takeover is Yahweh Shai. Yahweh Shai, who is the only begotten Son of the Heavenly Father, he has up next, and really, and Yashala forever. All right, and Yahweh Shai is coming to take everything, the kingdom, the glory, everything is his anyway. All right. There's a scripture that did escape me. Was it the scripture that escapes me? Yahweh Ratazah, it'll come back onto me. But a lot of these E's are Edomite, Esau, Edom, which they have the control of the earth. They know it's doomed. All right, and they make these different various little pieces, forming those. kind of like to basically make a form of escape, but really there's no escape outside of being an Israelite and being of the elect. All right, because you saving up money or trading it into gold, silver, uh, in the days of Jacob trouble, um, your goods, many of your goods are these people that are hoarding up cash, and in the form, like I said, is gold and silver, and hoarding up food and all of that. The Lord is going to destroy more of these people, um, because obviously they're not Israelites. One and two, if they even are Israelites, they may not be they not be chosen to be delivered. All right, and like I say, the money is going to be cast in the streets in them days. Okay, it's like brothers make that point in some of them post-apocalyptic movies. You'll see a lot of dollars just on the ground, and used as literally toilet roll or something like that and such. We know um, not to put our trust, as the scriptures say, on certain riches. Okay, so this is in the spirit. I'm just gonna play some things and pause and stop it. Like I say, I'm no financial advisor or anything of that nature, but we are the prophets of Yahweh Shem Shai, and we have that oracle, the divine communication between Yahweh Shem Shai to be able to interpret, that which is going on by the way of prophecy. Which that there's a scriptures, I believe it's in the book of Sirach, chapter 39. All right, and verse 1, it says, "But he that giveth his mind to the law of the Most High," which we do give our minds onto the law of the Most High. This book itself is a book of law, statute, commandments. Okay, if we we giving over our minds to the Most High and His law by following them, okay, and putting off the former conversation, um, which we had in the world, okay, the previous fashions in which we walked in, the behaviors, the forms. We are now putting on what? The light, the knowledge of Yahweh Shem Shai, being a wise and understanding people, no ignorant of something small and great. Ain't that beautiful to know? Okay, well, me dropping, all my money in the deferred compensation account, that's no going to save me in the end. Because you have Jacob there, like I was at my job, and there was this he was a police officer. He actually was he said he was I believe he said he was about in his 60s, but he didn't even look like he was 60. He looked like if anything, he looked maybe to be mostly probably in his early 40s or something of that sort. But he stopped me and this other Jake, and he pretty much gave us this motivational speech. Within the motivational speech was to um, uh, pretty much get into investments, which with certain jobs you have, um, they'll trade dollar for dollar. Give different incentives for the different so-called wages you make. They would uh, give you money in return and such. And if you stay invested within that account, like say for example, you taking out $50, they match your $50 so called. Yeah, by a certain age, you got all of this so called money, fiat currency stacked up, but the system already is fake anyway to begin with. It's pseudo, it's off of usury, lies, and such. So I'm just listening to the guy, and I'm just like, dude, I never believed in the whole, that whole investment scheme and such. Yeah, I know there's different investments which Jake, Israelites, if they good with money and such, and your portfolios and such. They can get on and get into the stock markets and all these different things and such, and make out all right. But I know it's all doomed, and to begin with, and that that's not the salvation. For myself. All right, the salvation for myself. Well, really, the Israelites is through Yahweh Shai. All right. So it says, and is occupied back to Sirach chapter 39 and 1, and is occupied in the meditation thereof, the deep thought, will seek out the wisdom of all the ancient and be occupied in prophecy. All right, prophecies, it says, and there's many different prophecies. Okay, which the financial system is part of it crashing is part of the prophecies. Okay. You read about in Zephaniah. I think that's it's either Zephaniah or Zechariah. I gotta see if I can find it. The first chapter talk about there's gonna be a crashing from the hells and such. Let me see. I'm gonna go and get it real quick. Let me see something. Give me a wee moment. Shalom to the sincere that are out on the comment board. I give you a shalom if you're sincere. I don't judge all to be sincere. Some actually on these comment boards can be very, very rebellious and such. So I see that for sure. To who, of course, it fits. It fit. But this is Zephaniah chapter 1 and verse 10. And it says, and it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Lord Yahweh, that there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate. All right, the fish gate representing what? Your marketplaces, which going into your Wall Streets, your different various stock exchanges and such. Okay, there's going to be a noise, a cry from the fish gate. All right. I'm gonna go real quick just to go double check that Hebrew word, because it's been quite a bit since I went into this particular verse. It's always good to go into these over and over again. This is being occupied within prophecy. Okay, so let me get it real quick. Yeah, Zephaniah chapter 1, 10. I'm doing a Malcolm style the video with the screen, old school. So you got the Hebrew word sha'ir, which goes into the space inside the gate, i.e. the marketplace, public meeting place. All right, which said within these cities, you have what? Trade that's going on and such. Okay. Yeah. And these they it said even going to a root sha'ir was going to compare to act as a gatekeeper, figuratively to estimate or think. And then you have many of these different financial advisors, etc. They beg Salakia. They had like a reconnection or something like that. But as I was saying, that these different you go into it. We read also in Ecclesiastes, it speaks about how let me see if I can just get that real quick. Give me a moment. Ecclesiastes. And hopefully, like I say, y'all y'all can still hear, because I know it cut off or something in the midst and such. Y'all let me know if y'all can hear and the audio is fine. If you can and such. Yeah, it tells you in Ecclesiastes that in the third chapter, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the economists, and the strong men shall bow themselves, and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look at the windows be darkened. All right, the water, of course. Yeah, yeah. The future, no looking bleak and such. All right, the work cease. Hey, we see in various of these tech companies lay off thousands of people. Why would this be so? You have a complete revolutionize this whole financial system where there's really no need for loads of these physical workers. All right, and things are being changed towards geared towards technology taking over AI, artificial intelligence. Okay, of course, armed with the ability to learn, machine learning, and use these different patterns and correct itself. You know, and try to be basically the best worker. Without all they got to do as company owners is to use the maintenance. Okay, that's it. Instead of having to worry about giving a particular individual health benefits, okay, paid time off, PTO, um, you know, not no having to give them various form of personal protection equipment. All they got to do is build the machine and just keep that machine running. They no longer need you. All right. So going back, in a moment. Yeah, going back to Zephaniah. Yeah, going back to Zephaniah. Zephaniah, the first chapter. Just want to make sure I go over everything. I go back over onto too. Give me a moment. I'm trying to get something real quick. These precious notebooks that we put our notes in. Damn, it's like man. Seems like every time I do these live streams, ever since I've been doing it, it seems like sometimes I find difficulty being able to find particular, like things I want on deck. But hey, can't hate favorite work. Yeah, still don't got it. All right, so yeah, there we go. So yeah, so again, Zephaniah 1 and 10, and it shall come to pass in that day, said the Lord, there shall be a noise of a cry from the fish gate, and a howling from the second, and a great crashing from the hells. All right, going into the fish gate, being what? E and his economics. Okay, imports, exports, the stocks, the bonds, Wall Street. Okay, this whole downfall of the beast structure with they or the EU. Okay, of course the hills, being E and his governments, his strongholds that depends on and protect his image, and um, you know, uh, these different governments and stuff. They integrate and help this man keep up, his image. All right, yeah. Going on. How ye inhabitants of Maktesh, which is a merchant city, all right, people bringing goods to sell into the marketplace. For all of the merchant people are cut down, all they that bear silver are cut off. Okay, there's gonna come a time when the goods are gonna stop coming in. All right, and the trading is going to cease. Because you're going to have World War III. You're going to have like I said, this crash. All right, you're gonna have this revolutionized form of uh, of the control in the form of the MLTB. All right, hey, let's just go and play some of the stuff.
The interest that they pay their depositors on their US dollars, because obviously they can't make as much money loaning out those dollars. And if they do that, then that will simply widen the disparity between what you can earn on your RMB deposits or yuan deposits versus what you can earn on your dollar deposits. And so what they end up doing is selling their dollars so that they can convert their deposits to yuan and earn more interest. Now, this is going to happen anyway as the dollar really starts to fall and the people in China start to perceive the risk of holding dollars, and they would prefer the safety of owning local currency. So that is going to happen anyway. But also, there's been a lot of people who have pointed to the Chinese currency peg, and they said if it wasn't for this peg, it's the Chinese yuan that would fall. That somehow by pegging the currency to the dollar, they are having an artificially strong currency, but for that peg, the yuan would crash. Clearly, when the central bank is intervening to support the dollar, that's not true. It's the dollar that's going to crash if China pulls the peg, not the yuan. And in fact, the main reason that the FX reserves are so large in China is because that's how many dollars they've had to buy to prevent the dollar from falling and to artificially suppress their own currency. And so I think that domestic purchasing power is becoming far more important than exports to the United States. And so trying to artificially suppress the purchasing power of their own currency is no longer a primary concern. They're going to have a lot more people to feed and to take care of, and so they want more purchasing power. They want to try to see the cost of raw materials and all the things that people are going to need. They want to see these things come down, and they're going to be more concerned about satisfying the demands of their own population, which is now going to really start to grow, as opposed to satisfying the demands of the American population, which is now in a lot of trouble because we're going to be fending more and more for ourselves. And we do not have the capabilities of doing that because over the years, we've grown dependent on countries like China. And so our economy has disintegrated. Our industrial capacity no longer exists. We have seen the economy transform into a service sector economy where consumers borrow money to buy stuff they didn't buy. But all this is dependent on the reserve status of the dollar and our ability to import the stuff that we didn't make and borrow the money that we didn't save.
Right, and they're just making money and issuing more and more and more money, and it's more and more debt. Okay, as the book of Habakkuk tells you. Okay, the book of Habakkuk, the second chapter, it tells you in verse. I am. 6, it says, shall not all these take a proverb? Second, shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taught and proverb against him, and say, woe, meaning destruction to him that increaseth that which is not his. How long and to him that ladeth himself with thick clay, these heavy pledges, these debts. Okay, and like I said, the United States has been loading up, this with this quantitative easing, inventing money out of nowhere, so-called money, all right, and it has been what lessening the so-called value of it, which it don't have a value really to begin with, so it takes more to get what you previously was able to get with less. All right, like being able to get a bag of candy in a time for only $1 or less, or a couple cents. Now will take you like even tell you now, like, to be able to eat out. Um, I was surprised to be able to spend $35 last night. Um, with the Akim, I was able to get a burrito, maybe like about 12 chicken wings, and like a tequila drink and some water. Just for $35. But if you go prior, something of that sort would have cost probably about $15. Okay, $5 and for just some of the different items or less. Now you have it. Like I say, you're spending more, and getting less. But like I say, hey, us as Jake, we knowing that we in the time of the black horse with the inflation and the hyperinflation. We got to know what to do to be able to get by. You know, this is the book of James, chapter 5, and 1. It says, "Go to now, ye rich men," the Edomites, the bankers. Okay, you know, uh, and major banking families. Weep and howl for your miseries that shall come upon you. Your riches are corrupted, which their riches are corrupted, and your garments are bought moth eaten. Your gold and your silver is cankered, which, like I said, if they're, obviously we know that gold and silver don't rust. So you have it with this fake financial system, with these fiat currencies, which they just deem so be true, deemed to be the exchange, for various goods and services. We know it's cankered. All right, which I'm gonna go into that word for canker real quick. That's through the spirit. Um, Book of James, 5th chapter, and going into canker. I'm not sure if y'all got anything on this comment board. All right. Silver from Argos, which means Argos. Silver refers to silver, which columns of noble buildings were covered and rafters adorned. Okay. Um, right. If you cover it, right? So, hey, yeah, just do the spirit. Like I have it. You have this financial system itself. It's covered by lies. Okay, lies that FRN actually is actual true money. I'm speaking all through the spirit. Okay, because the true money is gold, silver. All right. Um, having cattle and such, that's substance. All right, shalom to the Akbar Zah Ratazah 144. Yeah, it says, "And the rest of them shall be a witness against you." Yeah, you see the effect of the loss of the ability for this thing, the system to continue to keep on with you know uh, you see its values completely diminishing, day by day. All right, and that's a witness against you. It's a testimony, and it shows also that you know the people that are on the money are Satan. They're deceivers, they're accusers, and they're demons, and they got a veil. Okay, over the whole world duped. Because many people go out and they rob and they steal and they labor for many hours just to be able to um, seek after that American dream, to seek after prosperity, not knowing that this isn't the true way of to prosperity. That these dollars, like I said, you have many different, you got different countries that are in straits, you know, like going to Lebanon, Zimbabwe, having failures within their economies.
If you think about, again, the classic Milton Friedman inflation, which is what inflation is, which is too much money chasing too few goods, you print more money and it bids up the supply of goods. What has been happening in the US economy?
Yeah, so you said it, that they're printing more money. Okay, I kind of want to run that a little bit back. See that
We
statement.
have seen the economy transform into a service sector economy where consumers borrow money to buy stuff they didn't buy, but
Mhm.
all this is dependent on the reserve status of the dollar and our ability
Yeah,
to.
they buy stuff they didn't buy, which, like I said, it's a credit based system. So, hey, most people they get this stuff off of credit. They get it fronted to them, right? Hey, yeah, hey, we'll issue out this credit onto you, right? Which they made up, okay? Only as a guise to put you in debt, you know. And these people, like many of they people, they send it walking around just because you see these people in these fresh ass cars and these new houses and stuff. Hey, don't think that that's straight up prosperity. That's lies. Okay, because it's all off of credit. All right, issuance of credit. Most of these people, they, like I said, they ain't sweat and toil really. For what you're seeing, they're just using the system. You know, and the system, like I say, it's a false illusion of being propped up. By they you have it with the stimulus, the stimulating, of these economies with these products and them inventing so-called, inventing new money or putting new money into the economy. No, you're making it worse because more money in circulation means less value of what's out there. All right.
Import the stuff that we didn't make and borrow the money that we didn't save. If you think about, again, the classic Milton Friedman inflation, which is what inflation is, which is too much money chasing
Too much money
too
chasing
few goods.
too few goods. All right. And like I say, we're in that time of that black horse that you read in Revelation the sixth chapter, Revelation chapter 6, and it reads, um, in verse 5, and when he had opened the third seal, I beheld the third beast come and see, and I beheld, and lo, a black horse, and he that sat on him had a pair of balances in his hand. It was in judgment, and I heard a voice in the midst of the four beasts say, a measure of wheat for a penny representing a day's wage. Okay, go back into Roman times. Okay, and three measures of barley for a penny, or a measure for wheat for a penny, and three measures of barley for a penny right? And hey, you paying that for a day's wage, so much, and getting, like I say, so little goods and such. Imagine just getting just a for the whole day's wage you make. Like some people, some Jake, they be making like a couple hundred a day, 100 a day, whatever. Imagine giving your whole day's wage for just very few goods, or a good itself, a bag of flour, a bag of salt, a bag of chips, a couple chips. Okay, all the shrink facing and stagflation. These are things that obviously you should get more acquainted and into. For this all into this economics, which the Bible speaks about in the last end days. You got underneath me some chick playing some Summer Anderson song about some look who hurting now. Um, I heard it all before, and we heard it all before, right? And it's good. We heard it all before because the scriptures gave us the breakdown. Okay, and that's actually beautiful because we gonna see people hurt, and everybody, you gonna see these people getting wiped out quick. We gonna see Babylon get wiped out quick. All right, too much money chasing too few goods. All right. This is the book of Job, chapter 15 and 6. Thine own mouth condemneth thee, and not I. Yeah, thine own lips testify against thee. Right. You have it. Okay. Their own tongues is fallen upon themselves, as in Psalm 64 and 8. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And say many people try to flee away of these this system. You got people they going into homesteading, living off grid, going back to some of the ancient technology and ancient ways to be able to sustain yourself, because they see, obviously they learn that E has done things and been treacherous and deceiving. Okay. And so they don't want to get wiped out. They want to, go back to bartering and such, and being self-sufficient. But like I say, the whole system itself is doomed. All right, because without the Lord providing for you, which He gonna provide for His elect, you're just pretty much ticking just like the the elite are. Okay, but people are fleeing away from the small hats, these juices. All right, who have the control of the financial system. They've been tricking people from so long. Look at how the exposure on them has led to many. Jake are starting to look into their heritage as being Hebrew Israelites. Okay, and if they find great millstone and brothers that follow the doctrine of Yahweh, all right, they'll learn about obviously the financial system, the truth behind it. All right, to the capacity in which they need to know via the understanding of the scriptures. Okay.
You print more money and it bids up the supply of goods. What has been happening in the U.S. economy? The Fed prints all this money.
Yeah, and they'll print money. Hey, people buy so-called, oh, consumer spending is up. Oh, well, wait, we put more money into the so-called money into the economy. More people are buying, are putting it up um, at a higher price and such. But that don't mean that things have improved better. No, you've only increased the cost. Okay, because of course the inflation. So hey, like I said, I seen a burrito go from five to $10 and up. To eat, you gotta have at least $20 in your pocket. Going to the grocery store, like I said, hey, I spent $80 at a grocery store, Giant, which is my favorite place to go to. Uh, I got what? I got a cabbage. I got maybe about uh like 8 chicken thighs, and I got a pound of venison meat, deer meat, and I got like it was on sale some wagyu beef, and also like maybe like some uh cinnamon raisin whole wheat bread from a artisan bakery, and maybe like some kombuchas, a couple bottles. They're like $6 for two or something like that. I spent about $80, and like I said, that's just for me myself. And you go like, hey, I'm savoring it. Loads of the stuff just still in an actual fridge to new because like I say, eating, even you're eating, you won't eat as much, because of the times in which we're in. It's not even necessary. All right, loads of people gonna see it's not gonna be necessary to be able to eat 3 meals a day and such. Because these people that's without Yahweh Shemashai is gonna be wiped out.
Yet that money doesn't lose a lot of value. Look at the exchange rate of the dollar versus other currencies. We've had this massive explosion of money printing, big increase in the Fed's balance sheet. But on a relative basis, the dollar hasn't lost a lot of value relative to other currencies, despite the fact that we've dramatically increased the supply. Imagine if the United States existed as an island. We didn't trade with any other nation. So any money the Federal Reserve printed just stayed within our borders. It didn't go anywhere, right? And so the only stuff you could buy with the money the Fed printed was the stuff that we made here domestically, because that was the only source of goods. Well, obviously the effect would have been much different, because if the Fed prints a bunch of money and we don't have any stuff, we're not producing, we don't have factories making stuff,
That money would be
then the
expensive.
prices are obviously going to go way up. But
Yeah.
there was kind of like an escape valve that allowed the Fed to print a lot of money and it not push up the price of goods. And that was the fact that we have a whole world out there that was able to produce the goods that the US economy couldn't. And we were able to take all the money that the Federal Reserve printed and then use that money to buy all those goods that were made outside the United States. So the Fed prints money, the government gets it, sends it to Americans. Americans take that money and buy Chinese goods with it. And now the Chinese send us their goods and we send the Chinese our money. So the money the Fed creates is shipped abroad. So it's not in America bidding up prices, but now the goods that the Chinese produce, they get shipped to America. So now we have all those extra goods to keep a lid on prices. And if you look at the breakdown of the CPI between
CPI is Consumer Price Index. Okay, which we'll just try to define that real quick. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor, but I'm trying to just make this joint very simple with the scriptures. Which is a measure an average change over time in prices paid by urban customers for market-based consumer goods. Okay, so they track that measure. All right.
goods and services. If you just look at services, you've seen a substantial increase in prices, even with the government rigging the CPI, because the cost of services has actually risen by more than what the government admits. But if you strip out goods, you'll see a much bigger increase in prices. Why? Because we can't easily import those services. There isn't a foreign alternative. You can't outsource that stuff, because the services have to be performed locally. But when it comes to goods, more and more goods have been outsourced to cheaper production economies like China. And so that's kept the lid on goods prices. And so when you average the goods prices with the service prices, that's kept the measured rate of inflation lower. I mean, think about the low production costs in a country like China, which, 20 years ago, they were just starting out. They went through a long period of time where they had a communist system, not just in name, but in practice. And so you had a lot of very poor people. And as they began to embrace capitalism, wages started at a very low level. And of course, they didn't have a lot of their.
Like I said, they're following the actual the systems of Babylon the Great America. All right, which, like I said, is is wicked. All right, and so there's gonna get judges, because they're gonna get judged because they falsify balances and such. So you got a bunch of false narratives and stuff, man. People they don't even know what the real economy is and such, you know. So even we gonna go right back to Habakkuk, and then I might play a just tiny bit, but I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna get another precept, and then I'm gonna get back to that Habakkuk. Just like I love Habakkuk, Habakkuk in Hebrew. Um, hey, even Nahum, bro. Nahum, man. But Habakkuk chapter 2. I mean, you even talk about, you can go in Ezra's even with what we talk about with China and such. Cause that's what I'll do. I'll go to Ezra's about China real quick. We'll revisit the lesson. I'll just filter out the lesson and get for the next time. Pardon notifications. Get other precepts. Second Ezra chapter 15th verse. Or actually our 15th, our the chapter. Let me see if I can find it. This is Second Ezra chapter 15 and verse 46. It says, "And thou, Asia, thou art partaker in the hope of Babylon, and thou art the glory of her person." All right, Asia, China. Okay, and hey, we seeing hey, you know, the rise of their economy, and the growth of them, and like I say, you see China, in these different places out there. Like I said, they got whole skyscrapers just like Babylon the Great, you know, now the glory of her person, and they like second in economy wise to America, I believe. Okay, and projected by I think after like 2030 or something like that, if the Lord made it go that to far exceed Babylon the Great economic wise. Okay. Woe be unto thee, or destruction unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her. Right. When they model after the image. Okay. Through they getting that philosophy and making them mad. Okay. What you read in Habakkuk. That the nations are mad. They drunk the different wine of philosophies of Babylon the Great America, Esau, Edom. All right. And has decked thy daughters in whoredom, that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit a whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and inventions, their thoughts are, what's that? It's a new word I got. Machinations, or their thinkings and such. Therefore said the Most High, I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence, to waste thy houses and destruction and death.
Rules and regulations that we had. They didn't have all these environmental protections. And so the cost of manufacturing and the cost of labor, capital was all much lower in a country like China. And so we were able to outsource that production in order to keep costs down, even as the Federal Reserve was printing money. And of course, the money that we were printing, we were sending abroad. See, now normally this wouldn't work, because if you ran a big trade deficit like the one the US is running, your currency would crash, because your trading partners would have all this currency, but they'd have nothing to buy, because the whole purpose of trade is that you export to import. You have
Right, you'll send stuff out to import, bring things in, right? Well, United States, they just pretty much are having things imported. And it, like I said, things are not being produced here. GDP is down. All right, bad. All right. You can look into the GDP. All right. U.S. GDPs and all that. GDP. Um, it's 23 trillion as of 2021. Right. Gross domestic product, final value of the goods produced and services in United States by definition. But I want to find like this it's like this piece of information. You have back in September 29, 2022, the latest GDP reading confirms the U.S. economic strength for 2 straight quarters. All right. U.S. economy just had a second quarter of negative growth. Is it a recession? All right.
concept of comparative advantage. And as a nation, there are certain things that you can produce efficiently, and there are other things that you can't. Rather than producing everything, you produce just what you can make efficiently, and then you trade that for the things that you don't produce efficiently, because maybe your trading partner can produce that more efficiently. And so by everybody
cheaply, you have the raw resources too, and the labor. And like I say, many of these different companies, they are, you know, evade different taxing laws and etc. And they're getting so much money, profit, you know, from, like I said, being able to buy, these goods.
concentrating on what they make,
But it's only going to destroy everything. So it's all fake money anyway.
efficiently, and then trading, everybody ends up with more stuff, higher living standards, lower prices. But the goal of your exports is to pay for your imports. You don't just export for the sake of exporting, that's just a waste of resources. You export to pay for your imports. But what about America? You've got China and other countries exporting to the United States. They're not getting imports, they're getting dollars. And because the US is the reserve currency, those dollars are actually valuable. And so our trading partners are content, or have been in the past, to exchange the products that they produce for the money that we print. Now, their willingness to continue to do that and pursue this arrangement, I think, is coming to an end. I think the world is going to tire of exchanging real goods for our paper, especially when they understand how much less that paper is going to be worth in the future than it is now, when they realize the box that the Fed is in with respect to its ability to control inflation, and the fact that government deficits are going to keep on getting bigger and bigger and bigger, putting more and more pressure on the Federal Reserve to monetize those deficits. And in fact, the reason that the deficits were able to get so big in the first place was because of this arrangement, because foreigners were willing to hold on to our U.S. treasuries,
Yep.
and keep interest rates artificially low. That emboldened the government to go even deeper into debt, because normally a government that was this profligate would be punished by higher interest rates, and that punishment would change their behavior and cause more fiscal responsibility. But we never got punished. And as a result of that, we continue to pursue even more reckless policies than we had in the past. And so foreigners actually helped encourage this. And ultimately now they're going to be the ones that are going to put on the brakes, because they're going to stop enabling all of this debt. But it's going to be the Federal Reserve that is going to ultimately replace foreign buyers of U.S. treasuries. But of course, when foreign...
Yeah, so we'll leave off with this. This is the book of Psalms chapter 62 and 10. Trust not in oppression, and become not vain in robbery. If riches increase, set not your heart upon them. And he has trusted in oppression, um, set his heart upon him. And hey, we're seeing the effects of what happens when you follow his wicked, treacherous practices in business. Says Sirach 10 and 8, because of unrighteous dealings, injuries, and riches got by deceit, the kingdom or the rulership is translated from one people to another. It's going to be translated onto the Israelites under Yahweh Shai. All right, Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Kakadash. All right, in the end, which we're in the end, but we just waiting for the complete crash, which is just fraudulently being held up. So shalom to the elect, all praises to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, Bashem Rakakodash. Hope you're edified by the lesson. Continuing to keep pushing forward and praying to Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai for the strength and endurance to continue, in a fake system that's going down. Shalom.